Hey, friend. Welcome back to the Side Hustle Growth Podcast. I'm so happy you're here because I know for a fact that you have dealt with this. So, we're going to talk today. I'm going to share 6 tips on how to handle rejection in business. So, you can keep your eye on the prize. You can stay focused. You can keep moving forward. Rejection is just a part of the process. We have all dealt with it, myself included. So the best thing for you to do as you grow your side hustle, and there are some things that are just not going to go your way. There are some people that are just not going to want to work with you as much as you want to work with them, or as much as you thought the conversation went really, really well, or whatever it is, you're going to deal with some type of rejection. And it's just a part of life. It's a part of the process. And it's okay if something happens that doesn't go according to plan. What I want us to do today is just how do you keep moving forward? So I'm going to share 6 tips with you. Okay. The first one, let's just get right into it. Let's just get right into it. So you can get back on the saddle. Is that the saying? Get back on the saddle. The first thing is reframe rejection as feedback. I had shared this in last week's episode. Be sure to go check that episode out. It's about creating an irresistible offer. And I had brought this up, how to reframe rejection as feedback. We take it personally. Really, a lot of the times, most of the times, it's not even about you. There are times when you get that email or no response at all. When they ghost you, that is a serious type of rejection. You're wondering, am I doing something wrong? What could I have said? It's not about you. It could be about timing. We have to remember that people are dealing with a lot of things in life. And even if you might have had a really wonderful conversation with this lead and you thought, yes, this is going to be good. I can't even wait to work with this person. And then you don't hear from them again. Or they say something like, I'll let you know. No, I'll think about it and I'll let you know. Or however they frame it. Think about all the times that you have been trying to process something, trying to make a decision. You're calculating, you're moving this, you did it. All that's happening in your brain. You might really want to do something and it's not the right time. So we have to remember that happens with people. So if you start reviewing rejection as feedback, rather than a personal attack, rather than taking it personally, rather than feeling completely dejected, you open yourself up to learning more, taking that opportunity to really reflect. Did the client feel like your offer wasn't quite aligned with their needs? Maybe they're looking for something that you didn't include in your pitch, and maybe something you actually do, but you got so excited you forgot to mention it. There's all these different details, all these different things are happening, but use that moment, reflect, evaluate, go through the conversation or the email exchange, whatever it is, and take a look at what you could have said or done differently. And again, it could just be a timing thing. It could be a delivery thing. But don't take it personally. Remember that every no will bring you closer to that yes. You're not meant to work with every single person that you encounter. You are not trying to, I hope, not trying to work with every single person that you encounter. So there are some that are just not going to work out. But if you are in the early stages, you're just starting to have the conversations, just starting to figure out your unique sales style and how to read the nonverbal cues and how to ask certain questions and have certain prompts, you might miss the mark on something. So if you reflect and say, okay, you know what? Next time I have to make sure I have a checklist with you. I still to this day will have a checklist with me when I'm meeting with someone of just like, okay, here are the high level things that I must make sure I mention on the call. Have something that's sitting beside your screen, your monitor, and you can glance at it and so you know that you've checked everything off. Or maybe you talked too much. You didn't give the person enough time to talk. So you're thinking back and you said, you know what? I have to let them lead the conversation. I have to ask those probing questions and I have to dig a little bit deeper to understand what their needs are so that I can really deliver and convey that I have the solution for them. So reframe the rejection as feedback. The next thing, we've already kind of touched on this. I've already kind of touched on this. Don't take it personally. Really and truly, it is not about you. It's one of the hardest lessons when someone rejects you. But their no doesn't define your worth. That's just one conversation. That's just one person. You're still going to keep moving forward. It doesn't mean you're you should just pack it all up and give up. It doesn't mean that you're not talented. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It was just one conversation, one person that it just did not go according to plan. You have to be able to separate the personal from the professional with these outcomes. And don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes what I always like to say to my clients actually is the no you receive today isn't a reflection of your skill or your effort. Sometimes it's just not a fit in that moment. It just didn't work out. And you have to be able to hold your head high, say, you know what, at least you got that call, or at least someone, was interested in your services. At least someone clicked that link or replied to your email. So you're doing something right. It just might mean by the time you were to have that conversation, they realized you weren't a right fit for each other. So don't take it personally. Promise me you will not take it personally. The next thing really to help, next tip is to refocus on your why. First, I had said to reframe the rejection, think of it as feedback. Don't take it personally. Now we're on to refocusing on your why. Why did you start the side hustle in the first place? How will your life change or improve? Because when you do follow through on your goals for your side hustle, it's easy to let that rejection make you forget the initial passion because the rejection leaves you feeling dejected. And you have to remember that there's a passion, there's a fire inside you this could be the perfect time to reconnect with that. And ask yourself, if I was to give up now, what does that mean? Do you really want to give up because one person said no or one person didn't reply to your email? Or one person said, oh, maybe later. And you know what? Those maybe laters, I take those as yeses. It's just a not right now. Reconnect with your why. Understand why you started. Remember why you started so that you can keep forging forth, my friend. You are onto something. You're doing something really well. You have to remember when you started the side hustle, what was it for? Is it for the financial freedom? Is it for the time freedom? You want to have your own thing. And remembering that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. And there are a lot of moving parts in entrepreneurship. And the reality is that some things just aren't going to work out. Now, let's move on to the next tip. This ties into, again, I'm going to keep bringing it up, last week's episode on creating the irresistible offer. Tip number 4 is you keep refining your offer. Keep thinking of ways to continue to improve by having those conversations. So not every no is a dead end. Like I just said, a maybe later is an actual yes. You just have to be able to nurture that relationship now so that when they are ready, you are there to get started with them. Sometimes that rejection is a redirection you need as a learning tool. You hear rejection is God's redirection. Using that redirection as a learning tool. Ask for feedback. Reach out to that person and say, hey, is there anything any kind of feedback you can provide me, something you wish I had said, something you thought you weren't very clear on, that you thought from, seeing my marketing or my content that I do and I didn't mention it. Get the feedback from them. Maybe your offer just wasn't clear enough. Maybe you didn't say all the things you meant to say. Maybe you didn't spend enough time listening to them and understanding their pain points and what their problem is and what their fears are to show that you have the solution that they need. Every rejection can be the universe's way of telling you you're on to something. You're almost there. You're almost there. It just needs a little bit of work. Again, especially when you're starting out, This might be your very first offer. This might be your very first prospect. So there's a lot of learning and growth to do and refining that offer. You might think you have 3 or 4 different things. We can schlep them all into one thing. Understanding your ideal client, of course, again, would help you with that. But just remember that rejection is not failure. You didn't fail. You tried. You did that thing. You had that conversation. You attracted, you generated that lead, and they were interested enough to have a conversation with you. So you are actually on the right track. It's just you need to keep working on it. And this ties me into tip number 5, which is staying consistent. Showing up no matter what. I mean, there are other days if you don't want to show up, don't show up. Don't force it if you don't want to. But even on those days where you felt like you had 3 really solid conversations and they're not converting, or they're not replying to your emails, or they said yes, you sent everything, and then they said, I'll get back to you. You need to keep showing up. Consistency is key, especially for side hustlers. You're juggling a 9 to 5 on top of everything else. So consistency already will be a challenge. But if you show up and then you disappear, or you're not very consistent, and people don't really have the time to get to know you, that could also contribute to that rejection because they don't know you well enough. So by you showing up consistently, saying the same thing over and over, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is, from what you have said to me, here's what you're dealing with. And guess what? I can help you with that. And saying it over and over and over. Do not lose sight of the bigger picture. Your consistent efforts are laying the foundation for a very, very successful side hustle. Just have to be able to reframe, adjust your mindset. The success is right around the corner. If you just keep moving forward, you stay focused and move forward. When you take a step away, it's a step away to reflect, to reevaluate, to come back bigger and better. Okay? That setback is a comeback. And finally, tip number 6 is to build that resilience muscle. Every successful entrepreneur, nobody can avoid rejection. We can't. It is a part of the process. So learning how to push through it, learning how to continue showing up, learning that to really focus on the bigger picture, it helps you to build character. It helps you to just stay stronger and stay focused. The more you face it, the more you realize you're bigger than it. It doesn't define you. You can't please everyone. You're not trying to please everyone. And you really already are more resilient than you give yourself credit for. Rejection, all it needs is a little bit of a reframe. I always say, unless somebody says to me, F off, CJ, I will continue to follow up with them. I will continue to nurture that relationship, even if they're not replying to the first 2 emails. Sometimes it takes up to 12 touch points before someone comes to life and wakes up and says, hey, let's do that. Let's chat again. Or they say yes. So nurture the relationships. Unless they flat out tell you no, go the hell away. Keep nurturing those relationships. Keep showing up. Be consistent. Refine your offer. Reframe your thinking. And know that you have something good. Yes, you are an expert. Congrats on starting that side hustle. Congrats on putting something out there long enough that somebody was interested and had a conversation with you. Generating leads is not an easy thing until you have understood every single angle, every single aspect of what your ideal client needs and where they are, and they can't wait to click. You are doing a wonderful job. If you are going through this journey of aspiring entrepreneur, It's 9 to 5 with the side hustle. You're doing it alone. You feel like you need some support. You need to be surrounded by that good vibes, by like-minded women, other ambitious 9 to 5 / side hustle women. Find out more about Side Hustle Her Club at sidehustleherclub.com, or it'll be linked in the episode description. Come join us. Be a part of a community of women powerhouses who are really cheering each other on. You do not have to do this alone. If you deal with rejection, there is somewhere you can go to vent, or there's somewhere you can go to feel less alone. Be like, oh my goodness, yeah, that I've had that happen to me. I can share that with you as well. Join us in the Side Hustle Her Club. We have a private chat, we meet for virtual meetups, and we share feedback on each other's businesses. The women are really supporting each other. It's a beautiful thing that you can be a part of. So don't deal with our rejection alone, is what I'm saying. Or you can reach out to CJ, your girl CJ, and book that 15-minute vibe check. Ask me more if you need to know more about handling rejection, if you need to know more about the Side Hustle Her Club and if it's a fit for you or how else I can support you. I am ready to have that conversation with you. All I want to do is ensure that you keep going. Rejection is redirection. Take a moment. You can sulk, but don't sulk too long, because you got work to do and you got leads to generate and you got yeses to start to collect and a client list and a client roster that you need to start to build. So I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Look rejection in the eye and be like, I see you, but you won't be here for long. So be sure to tune in next week. Thank you for being here. I will see you later. Bye.